Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. That over there is at Fuzzy Chris 91. I am at Pucking Thoughts. Adam Bernard, our pal at Ant Rivera 86. Enjoying some time off. Will be back with us either next week or the following week. I forget which one, but he'll be back with us soon. And we'll have a whole line again instead of a deep pairing. But as always, we'll bring you picks coming up a little about 30 minutes from now at 5:35 Eastern, 2:35, 13 games to go through tonight. We'll try and get your picks from all of them. I know I've got 8 picks, so I've 8 out of 13, not too bad. So we'll see how that goes. But plenty to get to before then. Of course, we talk fantasy hockey here as well. So we'll talk about some ads for the weekend that maybe will get you through either into the next round of the playoffs or in the playoffs if you're in the last week of the regular season or round, whatever the case may be. We'll also talk some potential playoff scenarios and some fucking postulates. But first up here, it's always we like to do fantasy focus. And first up is going to be just fantasy weekend strategy. Teams that have 2 games and teams you want to avoid. The Rangers and the Blackhawks will highlight in a second. I can't believe we're highlighting them for fantasy ads, but they're the only 2 with that Friday, Sunday staggered where probably don't have anybody else going. Those guys can get in your lineups. On Saturday and Sunday, if you're looking for somebody with that pairing, you're looking at Bruins, Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Stars, Panthers, Canadians, Predators, Devils, Flyers, and Lightning. 2 games with the Friday, Saturday stagger or the Sabres and Red Wings, so you might get a little more bang for your buck on the Friday versus the Sunday. Teams you want to avoid who only have a game on Saturday only. This is, of course, after tonight. Ducks, Flames, Avalanche, Oilers, Kings, Wild, Islanders, Senators, Penguins, Sharks, Kraken, Blues, Maple Leafs, Mammoth, Canucks, Golden Knights, Capitals, and the Jets. So there we go with that one now. Did you ever think we would be highlighting Rangers and Blackhawks this late in the season as potential fantasy ads?
I mean, maybe the Blackhawks I could understand because they're bad. So it does, you know what I mean? They got to go out there and do whatever they want. I had texted you about this. Like, I guess we have to care about the Rangers, but judging from their play, I mean, like they might get 20 shots in 2 games, Friday and Sunday. Like, they may not get more than that.
Now, these teams play each other on Friday, so, the game going to be at the Garden, so maybe that worries you from a Rangers offensive standpoint. But again, these are not ads that are like, oh, these are going to be top-notch players. We're talking player under 50% ownership that'll help you in certain categories, like Will Cooley. He'll get you hits. He'll get you shots on goal. That's a guy that can get you those categories on Friday and Sunday to help either pad or catch up. Braden Schneider, hits and blocks, like a lot of defensemen now. But again, get you those categories on a night where you wouldn't get them otherwise, and you're not, you don't have to worry about them being on the bench because they're not playing on Saturday when you usually have to make decisions anyway. Ty Cartier, since they got him over from the Kraken, I believe on waivers, 8 points in 12 games, get you hits. I think that's like more points than he had with the Kraken all year, or just as many, or something like that. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. But again, this is all more of the strategy of you trying to catch up and maybe get points depending upon what format you have, scoring format, on nights where you're not going to get something otherwise, and you're not going to add these guys just to sit on your bench because they're not going to play above them. So there are better players than these guys out here. This is more about just trying to make up some ground on nights that maybe get for free and not go against too many else. And then finally for the Rangers, Vladislav Gavrikov, cheap all-around line option, blocks shots on goals.
No, listen, all of those players are absolutely great targets. If you need a little bit of something over the weekend, right? Obviously targeting, like Friday's a short slate. There's 15 games Saturday. So, you know what I mean? We have to make some choices here. You could go with the back-to-back kind of solution if you're looking for a goalie, right? So there's 6 games on the Sunday, 15 on the Saturday. There's some teams that are playing back-to-back, right? I don't know, like, so, for example, Carolina's got one against the Devils, and they play the Habs on the Sunday. If you want to take a risk on Freddie Anderson, if he's hanging around there, you can go ahead and do so. I mean, Columbus, right? They play San Jose and then Boston, right? Cheap way as well. If you're trying to get maybe Elvis Merzlikins is hanging around somewhere, you can get a cheap start there if you want. Here's the one that probably interests me the most, and that is Florida. So Florida gets the Islanders, on Saturday, and then they get
Rangers.
the Rangers, right? And the
They've been
Rangers are
playing
at
better
home.
lately. They've enjoyed their spoiler role. We'll talk about that when they play the Wild later.
I'm hoping it's Bob on Saturday, so you can get a cheap kind of Tarasov start on Sunday against the Rangers, where he can, make like 9 saves en route to like an easy victory. You know what I mean? So
And again, the Rangers can't score at home. Notice how none of the candidates up there are goal scorers, assist getters, power play point. None of that. This is all your banger, deeper categories. And hey, listen, shots on goal, just because they don't go in the net doesn't mean you're not shooting the pucks.
it's a very important weekend for goaltending. Lots of teams have back-to-backs. They will throw a goalie out. If you're chasing a specific stat that you need for goaltending, might as well do so. But again, it's a full day Saturday. So if waivers have to be put in and then clear the next day, there's no point holding on to a player if he's not going to help you get into the next week, right? Not at this point. So if you cut a player and he ends up on waivers and we're assuming you're in a redraft league and it doesn't matter, like, it's okay. You know what I mean? He's not going to knock on your door and be like, hey, why did you drop me week 23 of this? Don't worry. He'll be fine with it. You just let him go.
You do want to keep a little bit of an eye on the following week, but like that to me is like a last tiebreaker. If you're down between two guys, okay, maybe you look at the next week to see if maybe somebody has a stagger night. We're like, okay, that guy will help me out next week, so I'll hang on to him versus, you know what I mean? Like Chris said, at this point in the season, listen, the top guys are still the top dogs. You're not cutting anybody crazy, but there are definitely like some of your lower B tier guys that like, well, not going to play anyway.
There you go. Guys at the bottom, you don't need to hold on to it. You see? There's no point. Look, I mean, Tampa Bay plays one here. That Tampa Bay's got Ottawa on Tampa Bay has Ottawa on Saturday, the Preds on Sunday. Johansson's going to probably get one of those starts. I'm hoping it's going to be the one against Nashville, because that would be great. That would be fantastic if you need a goalie. But yes, you are indeed correct. You do want to just take a look at next week, but listen, you can't get to next week if you don't get through this week. So figure it out.
And to run through the Blackhawks, they play the Rangers and the Devils this weekend on the road. So, the Devils been giving up goals lately a ton. We'll talk about that. The Predators game they got later on. Tyler Bertuzzi, left wing, right wing eligibility, get you goals and shots on goal. Frank Nazar, face-off wins and assists. Chicago seems to be playing a little bit better. I don't even want to be playing better down the stretch, but at least a little bit more of an option to look at. And then Anton Frondel, he made his debut. He's going to get ample top 6 time here down the stretch. I mean, there's no reason that they're going to hold him back. There's no situation that like, oh, if he messes up, costs us a game. Oh, well, who cares? So they're going to play him. He's getting power play one time. And then finally, Lev Shunov on the line. He gets you a balanced mix of hits and blocks. And he's also the quarterback on the power play 1 unit. So if you need a depth defenseman that, plays on off nights, that could get you through the weekend. And don't forget, some of these guys, they get you through the weekend, and then they're your first drop on Monday. So
that's it. Listen, you don't have to love these guys. They're here, they're here on your team to do a mission, help you get to the next round. That's it. Thank them for their service after, and then keep it moving.
And if you're looking for tips for all of next week, Ducks, Blues are your two. Believe it or not, the Blues, but Ducks and Blues have the best stagger schedules for the full week next week. Second tier options would be the Avalanche and the Sharks, especially with the matchups the Avalanche have early in the week. But yeah, Ducks and Blues. I'm not going to say one guy that I have my eye on in a particular league because I'd love to snag him. And the Ducks actually for the next 2 weeks have staggered schedules, so that increases the value of Ducks even more there. So
one team that plays next week, since you're talking about looking ahead, the Penguins are the only team next week that play 5 games. They play the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a home and home with the
It's not a home and home. Both games
they're
are
both in Florida. You're right.
Quirk. It's a weird quirk.
I looked at it, I was like, oh, home and home, and then I don't see the ad, and I was like, wait a minute, what? You just hang out for the weekend in Florida? Okay. 5 there. I guess the least interesting, the Utah Mammoth. They play 2 games, but 2 very good games though. They play Seattle, and they play in Vancouver. And we'll touch on Vancouver later, but I mean, playing in Vancouver is free. It's free.
Yeah, we'll talk about Kings are there tonight. We'll see if we have any plays on that. Now, Got picks coming up in about 20 minutes here, but we want to throw some fun little playoff scenarios and things like that. We'll segment we like to call pucking postulates here. First up on the docket, we'll start in the Metropolitan Division. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes are on a second round collision course. And, we've assumed that the Hurricanes have held their spot at the top of the division all year like we all thought they would. Here's the thing. Columbus Blue Jackets are 19-3-4 under Rick Bowness, and they were 19-19-7 under Dean Evison here. So they currently sit in second place in the Metropolitan Division. Islanders are fading. The Penguins have basically been a 500 team over their last, dozen games or so. Columbus is hitting their stride at the right time. For as much as we talk about how hot the Buffalo Sabres are, why aren't the Columbus Blue Jackets the next up-and-coming Buffalo Sabres, maybe just about a month behind them on the timeline? Like, what's 19-3-4 since a coaching change? That's not a fluke.
No, that is some fantastic work by the entire crew over there for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're doing it again. I mean, I don't know how many times we've banged this in, but they are doing a much better job of protecting the front of their net, the attention to detail. Rick Bowness has come in and has basically said, listen, you can fly up and down the ice all you want, but if you're giving up too many goals, it's not going to matter. So, yes, they have some good pieces there. There are players who are getting the job done. Everybody knows their role. Everybody does it. Everybody makes sure that they're protecting the front of the net. And it's not a coincidence that once Bowness came in and the attention to detail on the defensive side was there, all of a sudden Elvis Merzlikins gets a little better, right? Jack Greaves is doing well, but I think his game has gone a little bit higher. Everybody has gotten better since Rick Bowness has got there. So it does look like these two teams could be on a collision course. And Carolina was in town against the Montreal Canadiens. Once they figure out that Freddie Anderson should not get a start, like I get that Brandon Bussey has struggled a little bit, which is fair because he's actually a rookie. And this guy was claimed off waivers. It was like, hey, man, welcome to the squad. Lead us. He has been thrusted into an impossible situation. And his story this season has been fantastic. It's great. It's wonderful. Good for him. Maybe he's running out of a little bit of juice, and Freddie Anderson has no juice. That lemon has been squeezed. It is dried up now. But if I'm the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm hoping somebody takes care of the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round, because that series I think could be a lot closer than people want to give them credit.
Now, let's say they play a Pittsburgh in the first round. I mean, from a geographical standpoint, that'd be great because you'd have fans driving back and forth to both cities. I think they're about 2.5, 3 hours apart, Pittsburgh and Columbus. Can Pittsburgh beat Columbus, or is Columbus, the way we thought coming into the season, the New Jersey Devils were clearly the second best team in that division? Are the Columbus Blue Jackets actually that team now? I think so. Like you said, the attention to defensive detail. You see it in the numbers with Jet Greaves. You see it in the numbers with Elvis Merzlikins. At first, Merzlikins was kind of getting more of the starts. Now I think Greaves has earned the trust of Bowness. Then clearly we all know he's the goalie of the future there anyway. And have Merzlikins be more of a true backup. And they're playing in tight games. They beat Philly the other night. They got a lot of meaningful hockey to play down the stretch here. They could even be home in the first round of the playoffs. So, yeah, I do think these two are on a collision course, and that's not to necessarily say the Penguins couldn't beat the Blue Jackets. Penguins have just been a little shaky, whereas Columbus is playing their best hockey of the year, bar none.
Yeah, I agree with you. They've been rolling. Listen, I don't know how many times I want to bet against Sidney Crosby in the gang, because if anybody knows what winning looks like, it's him. So, and playoff experience matters. I know sometimes people want to disregard that and say, oh, it's, doesn't matter this and that. It matters, right? That's why some of the same players and the same teams keep, making it far. It matters when you get to this level, how you prepare, what you need to do, the emotions and everything. It matters. So we'll see how Columbus handles it in the first round. I'm sure Pittsburgh could give them a ton of trouble, but Columbus's first job is to make sure that they secure their spot. And I mean, the Islanders did themselves no favors. What is it? They lost, I think it was 1-0 to Columbus as well. Like,
well, don't worry. We will get to the Islanders here in a minute. So we got the Islanders, Red Wings, and Senators all lumped together. Before we get to them, I want to jump over to the Atlantic Division. And Buffalo and Tampa Bay will not face each other in the second round of the playoffs, aka one of them loses in the first round. Are you buying into this, or are these two teams on a collision course for the second round of the playoffs? And I know matchups matter. Also, got a Marek Doucette. Hey guys, always got to have him. Odds of Cole Caulfield getting his 50th. We'll get to that later when we talk Columbus, Montreal. I don't know which one. If you told me which one is more susceptible to being upset, as crazy as this might sound, it would be Buffalo, just because Tampa's been there before. And yes, I know Tampa got upset by Columbus. We were talking about them not too long ago. But, sometimes for a team like Buffalo, you're playing hot. And then you have a couple of days off because of the way the schedule works. I got to check and see, because they might wrap their season up on Tuesday. I have to see how they wrap up. But I don't know. Lindy Ruff in the playoffs. I don't know if they get a team like a Montreal or a Boston. Boston proved that they can play them. They played them tight all season. Get one of those kind of teams that know you well in the first round, and things change a little bit. Same could be true for Tampa Bay, but if I was going to pick one team more likely to get upset in the first round, I'd probably say Buffalo.
I would go down that path as well. The run that the Buffalo Sabres have been on is truly generational. Like, we will get to look back at this one day and be like, hey, the Buffalo Sabres were terrible. Then they fired their GM that I guess nobody liked, and brought in Jarmo Kekalainen, and then all of a sudden it's fine. Everything is
night
fine.
And day. It's not even like, a week later they got going. No. The second Kevin Adams got out of the building, it's like,
and they're sitting at the top of the Atlantic. I would say one of the toughest divisions in hockey.
Top to bottom is the toughest. Yeah. Like, we all know how deep Central is with Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. Like, yeah, those are three of the top teams in the league. Yeah, Utah and Nashville, but Atlantic right now, outside of Toronto and Florida, everybody's in it.
But even those teams were somewhat competitive at some point. Like, they were there. They just, the Leafs are terrible, but the Panthers suffered so many injuries. Like, it was, it felt like an impossible task for that team right off the rip. And, they're here, and it's going to happen. But the Sabres being where they are is truly remarkable. Also, those are some of the most affordable playoff tickets I have ever seen. They were coming out with something like, you can get like playoff tickets in the first round for like under $100, which is wild, because if you go to the Bell Center, you get parking, you order 2 hot dogs and a French fry, it's probably $100 right there. So good on the people of in management and everybody in Buffalo for getting people in. I will say this though, the Tampa Bay Lightning are getting older, right? But the problem is the Tampa Bay Lightning have been there. I am a biased opinion here, because if Montreal finishes third, then they have to deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I am old enough to remember how that went last time. They met at a different level, but I remember how that went when Montreal was a West Coast division team for all of one season. In the lockout year, they got to be in the Canadian division. They were considered West, so that's how we got a Montreal-Tampa Bay final for it. But, I mean, look, Tampa healthy is a problem. They know exactly how to play playoff hockey. They have one of the best goalies, right, in the league. Nikita Kucherov just continues to rack up like 4 or 5 points. Like, it doesn't even matter. And they also have some nasty to them. Like, they have over 1,000 penalty minutes. I get like probably 300 of those came against the Panthers, but you still have to get them. So one of those teams that is willing to kind of throw it around. But again, I would say that if anybody's going to get upset, it's going to be the Sabres, but it would not surprise me if these two teams face off against each other, and it is going to be absolute cinema to watch these two go at it.
I would say it's, this is a division that's extremely important to win, like, because it's so close right now. Yes, the Lightning have the lead, but the Lightning have 2 games in hand. Yeah, 3-point lead for the Sabres with 2 games in hand for the Lightning. Whereas you're going to get a Boston or Detroit and Islanders or Senators versus and you might get one of those teams anyway. So maybe it's not as important, because you might get one of those teams anyway if Montreal slips up a little bit there. So bottom line is it's going to be tough sledding for those teams in the first round, no matter what. So yeah, I'd like to see them in the second round. I just have a feeling maybe one of them doesn't do their part and doesn't get there. Now we're staying also in the East before we head out West. We've got the Red Wings and Islanders can start making tee times for the week of April 20th. because Ottawa will get the last Eastern Conference wild card spot. This is assuming that Boston has done enough to get one of them, which I think they've have. Are we writing off the Red Wings and the Senators are trending in one direction, whereas the Red Wings and the Islanders are kind of trending the other direction. Still a lot of time left, but not looking great for two of those teams.
I guess the Red Wings was just the timing of everything that was happening, right? They didn't really go out and address any needs at the trade deadline. Yzerman just kind of stood pat.
And you got Falk.
Sure, but like you're paying first round, what was it? First round, third round, and something. And like, does Falk really move the needle either way? I don't know. The injuries to Larkin and Kopp, obviously those, like, that hurts. It is what it is at that point. But they're not winning enough games. And with how tight it is, especially in the Atlantic, with how tight it is, you have to win, right? The Senators are doing their parts here. Now, Thomas Chabot got his forearm broken by JT Miller's cross-check. So that kind of sets them back a little bit here. But the Senators are 8-2. They've won 4 in a row. So they've at least established themselves or put themselves in a position where they can get that spot. And I do think that they will. Just because as bad as Linus Ullmark has been, and I mean, James Reimer as a backup is certainly a choice. Overall, their defensive metrics are good. They're a good defensive team. They protect the net well. They limit shots. They just get poor goaltending, right? Whereas for the Islanders, it's the exact opposite. If it wasn't for Sorokin and it wasn't for Rittich, like, they would probably be a lottery team. Like, it's night and day. The goals saved above expected between the Islanders and the Senators, it's polar opposites. It's the Islanders are first by a wide margin, and the Senators are last by a wide margin. So I don't think the Islanders have enough to get them to where they need to be yet. It's nice that they've gotten this far, but I don't think they have the gas down the stretch to get them there.
I'll say this. Of the three, the Red Wings probably have the quote-unquote easiest schedule. Islanders and Senators, it's a toss-up, but here's the difference. And now you get the Islanders and the Senators. They play on Saturday, April 11th out in Long Island. So that's going to be a big one. But the Senators close at New Jersey, home for the Leafs. Islanders after that, home for the Canadians, home for the Hurricanes. Now, maybe they'll get lucky. The Hurricanes will have the division wrapped up and they see some AHL call-ups versus actual Hurricanes players. You know, Detroit, the last 2 games, they're at Tampa, at Florida. That would worry me because, I mean, Florida may not dress anybody, but if Florida's got a chance to, like, hey, we can eliminate them, they've got the right group of players to be like, screw it, let's go for a game. Let's end their season, you know? People talk about they're the second dirtiest team behind us. No. We don't want any comparisons. We want to be on an island by ourselves. Let's go and keep them out of the playoffs. So it's going to be Ottawa's probably set themselves up the best, but you know, Sorokin could always turn it around. I mean, the Islanders have the goaltending of those three, a leg up there. So Sorokin gets hot. See, a couple more to go here before we get to picks. The Isles, because of Waugh's coach, you know, and maybe you think coaching wise, it's him. You got Todd McClellan in Detroit.
Waugh was very nice to give Sorokin half a period off in the third period against the Canes when the Islanders just decided that was it. They didn't want to play defense anymore and left him out to dry. But then again, they go in.
He's never been in that situation before.
Yeah, never. You know what I mean? He was like, you know what? Let's hit the shower. He started him the next game, though. Back to back, starts him in Columbus. Started against Columbus in Long Island. You're like, listen, I understand, understand the task at hand, but I don't know if at the same time for the Islanders, like, Matthew Schaefer played like 30 some odd minutes. Like, that's great that he can, but if you're running if you're running your 18-year-old out there for 30 plus minutes, you got problems. He can't be the guy out there for 30 minutes a night.
And that's not to say he can't handle it in time. It's just you're leaning on a rookie. Again, as great as he is still a rookie. And
that's a lot of ice time for a kid. Like, don't forget, they don't play, like, he doesn't play that type of quality hockey, in junior, right? Like, they don't play this deep. They don't play this hard. They don't play against men. Like, the wear and tear at some point, he's a kid. I know he can recover quickly, but still, that's a lot for any human to handle.
Well, let's shift over to the Western Conference now, and they're both Predators related because the Predators apparently are back in the mix here down the stretch. The Predators will make the Avalanche sweat if they meet in the first round of the playoffs. And by sweat, I say get it to a sixth game would be a good definition of sweat. The Predators have played Colorado pretty well this year. They've given them fights a little bit. UC Saros is playing well. Justice Noonan been playing better as a backup. Stamkos has been on fire. Ryan O'Reilly seems to have gotten his game back after slumping there for a little bit. Listen, I don't think the Predators are going to eliminate the Avalanche, but could I see Colorado having to close the series out in Game 6 in Nashville? Sure. Why not?
I mean, that's about as far as I think it would go. I think they could wrap it up probably wrap it up in 4 or 5. They're just a dominant piece. The Predators are still have a minus goal differential. And I mean, they've scored 215 goals. Like, it's not great, but it could be worse. The problem is they've given up way too many, right? No team has given up more goals in their division than them. So, and they also have a division with the Blackhawks and the Blues. So they've given up the most goals. And Colorado loves to score goals. They are first. They score the most goals, and they're just on a whole other level. So I'm just going to assume that Nashville takes 2 L's in Colorado because you're not walking in there and expecting good things to happen. The Avalanche will just torment you when they're on home ice. I get that they played them close. That's fine. The Predators were basically sellers at the deadline, right? They didn't really bring in any talent. Yeah, they didn't think they would be here. So man, getting it to 6 would be something, but I don't think that's likely.
They still have the heavy hitters, but the guys that you want for playoff series to go and eat those hard minutes against the other team's top, they traded those guys away. So it would be interesting to see how they handle that. Now, let's keep it with the Predators here for a minute. One more. The Kings will steal the final wild card 2 spot from the Predators on the last night of the season to get Kopitar one more postseason appearance here. Well, let's face it, looking at that wild card spot in the West, that second one, it's not to say nobody wants it, but the Sharks, they're done. We could stop talking about them as being in that mix. The Kraken are really close to being on that line too, only 2 points ahead. Looking at the Kings at 74 points, sitting 3 behind the Predators with both having 11 games to go here. How much do we trust the Predators? Listen, I actually think that this could happen. If you look at who they have to play the last night of the season too, Kings would be playing against the Flames in Calgary versus the Predators, who would actually have to play, I think, somebody that might pull that up here. Yeah, they'd be playing Anaheim. So depending upon where Anaheim sits, where Edmonton and Vegas puts pressure, now maybe they get lucky. Anaheim clinches the division, but it's still way too much time in the Pacific to say who's going to win it. I would say it's the Ducks, but wouldn't surprise me if Edmonton or Vegas made a push here in the last 2.5 weeks.
It's pretty bad on the Pacific. Nobody wants it. Nobody. I think we should just relegate the whole division. Just send them all home. Be like, yeah, man, thanks for trying. The Ducks lead that division. They have a minus goal differential, so they're -5. The Oilers have the best goal differential, and they don't have a starter. So Connor Ingram, who they got off waivers, is now the guy. Like, he's the guy because Jerry is just an absolute mess. I think the Sharks just kind of ran out of gas a little bit, right? I don't think
we can get into them when we talk about their game coming up.
Right. They were, they're fun to watch, but here's the thing for the Kings. So the Kings have, including tonight, they face off with the Canucks 2 more times after tonight. So tonight, exactly. So they have 3 games against a team that has, they are horrendous, right? And then you said they also got the matchup against Calgary. Like, Calgary's not playing for anything. The schedules, better,
but
listen, better. Again, the Kings are frauds. This team went out to get Panarin in the hopes that they would get better. It is unfortunate that Fiala got hurt. They couldn't score all year because they had the wrong coach. And They're just bad. They're bad. They go to overtime and just love to lose. They have 18 losses in extra. Like 18. I think they could probably lose 20. Like overtime losses. Like I think they're there. We've seen them. I think this was a couple of years ago where they missed the playoffs by like 1 point, and it was right there. It was because of how many games had gone to overtime and they lost. So it's deja vu for the Kings all over again. I don't think that they get the wild card 2 spot because even with a gift in front of them of a schedule, they will find a way to not make it work.
So
they couldn't beat the Kings.
So
sorry, no, they couldn't beat the Flames or the Ducks.
They couldn't beat the Flames the other night. They lost in a shootout.
There, see.
So who would you pick for wild card 2 then? Because it's the Sharks, it's the Kraken, it's the Predators, it's the Kings. The Jets are kind of in the mix. But
I would then give it to the Preds.
But the Predators do have a 6-game road trip coming up, and they have 2 games left against the Sharks. But that's all their only easy games the rest of the way. Home for the Devils tonight should be easy. Devils also put the puck in that. First Montreal, then a 6-game road trip that is Tampa, LA, San Jose, LA, Anaheim, Utah, and then they come home from Minnesota, San Jose, and Anaheim. Whereas you look at the Kings schedule, they got the Canucks tonight, then they come home for a nice long homestand. Looks like 7 games. Utah, St. Louis, Nashville, Toronto, Nashville, Vancouver, Edmonton, and then close with their last 3 at Seattle, at Vancouver, at Calgary. Seattle could be toast by then. So the Kings
are no good at home.
I know. They got 2 games against Nashville. That may be what ends up deciding it. That's probably it.
Those games are good. Those games, like the Nashville Kings, those are massive 4-point swing games. Massive games. If you're the Kings, you cannot give them up. You have to make sure that you win those, because if you don't, that's it. You're toast. I get their schedule might be better, but they don't win. Like the Kings just don't win. They've had a chance now all year to get a playoff spot. They refuse to take it.
And I'll talk more about the Sharks when we talk about the Blues. But if you're like, oh, what about the Kraken? They're still alive. Like, listen, they're at Tampa tonight, at Buffalo, at Edmonton. Then home for Utah and Chicago. They could get Chicago. Then at Winnipeg, Minnesota. Home for Vegas, Calgary, LA. And finish at Vegas and Colorado. So even if the Kraken are in the mix, Vegas, maybe they'll get lucky that Colorado – not even lucky. Maybe that Colorado game is actually 2 gimme points because Colorado won't have anything to play for by then. But Vegas is going to be playing for positioning for sure in that penultimate game. So, yeah, it's not the Kraken and it's not the Sharks, but it is 5:35. We got a 13-game slate as I take Chris off the screen accidentally. There he is. He's back. Milo did not chew the cable or anything, so I don't want to dog. But let's do it. We got 13 games to blow through. We're here to do something. All right, so we've got 13 games to blow through here. A nice mix of matchups here. Of course, no staggered starts until 9:30 Oilers Golden Knights. So when you really need that staggered time, not in the window where there's a bunch of games, but when there's only a couple of games left at that point. Anyway.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. The scheduling this week, one game on Monday with the Rangers Senators, 2 games last night. It's what is it? Tomorrow night, I think it's 2 games again. It's like, what are we doing here?
2 games tomorrow, then a full 15s later on Saturday.
2 teams will be on, and then Sunday you actually get a normal number of like, what is it, 3, 6. Let's talk about tonight's slate. First up, Chris's Canadians hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets here. It's going to be Jet Greaves versus Jakub Dobesh. Like we said before, Columbus is 19-3-4 on the bonus. Montreal's won 6 of their last 9. Nick Suzuki and Yuri Slavkovsky both have 7-game point streaks. Cole Caulfield, a 6-game point streak here. If you're looking to get either of these teams on the money line, it's Canadians minus 120, Blue Jackets even money on the puck line, total 6.5 here. I'm staying away from this one. My initial lean was Canadians money line, but Columbus is playing well lately. This is maybe it leans under the way Columbus has been playing lately, but I'm not touching this one.
We're going to go full steam ahead here. Habs to cover the puck line.
Woo! All right.
If Columbus is trailing, we saw it, and again, Patrick Waugh is built differently. but like they were down 3 and he pulled the goalie. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like this could be a situation where if Columbus is trailing, the Montreal Canadiens are prone to giving up those late goals when they're down, when they're also down a man. So when the goalie comes out at 6-on-5, it becomes a shooting gallery for the other team. And we've seen them get burned with it. They've actually practiced it. So that's how you know it's bad, is when you have to practice 6-on-5. I think the Montreal Canadiens can keep this clean. Jakub Dobes is starting again. Like, he's in a rhythm right now. He's in a mood. He's in a rhythm. It's going. He's making the saves that he needs to. The Montreal Canadiens are just like, it's flying. Cole Caulfield is burying it, right? He will score 50. It's not a question of if. He will do it. He is lighting the lamp at every given turn. So I think this game will start close. I don't think we're going to see like a 7-5 burner, but if the Canadiens have a lead at some point and the Blue Jackets have to pull a goalie, maybe the empty net has to help us here, but I will take it. I will take it.
All right. So the best number I could see is plus 205 in a couple of spots. Bet 365. DraftKings. Fanatics has it plus 200. FanDuel plus 205. So does Caesars. So if you like and agree, got plenty of options to get a nice little return if Montreal can pull it off there and cover the puck line. Next on the docket, we got the Penguins at the Senators. Penguins are 4-4-3 in their last 11, allowing 4.36 goals per game. Brian Rust on an 8-game point streak, 5 goals, 7 assists. Ottawa on a 4-game winning streak. They have a 9-game point streak going against the Penguins, specifically 8-0-1. It's going to be Stuart Skinner against Linus Ullmark. Jeff Skinner would make me jump on the over real quick if he was playing goaltender for the Penguins there. On the money line, Senators minus 150 home favorites, Penguins 5. Total is 6 or 6.5, depending upon where you're looking there. For me, I'm going to take the over 6.5 plus 105 over at DraftKings. Both of their prior meetings went under, but I think we'll see some goals tonight. Penguins are 7th best scoring team in the league. Ottawa 9th. Both are middle in the pack in terms of goals allowed. Stu Skinner has allowed 4 or more goals in 5 of his last 9 games, 3.69 goals against and an 866 save percentage. Ottawa hasn't allowed more than 2 goals in 4 straight, but I think Pittsburgh pushes the pace here a little bit. This is probably an empty net sweater to get the over, but I'll take the over 6.5 at a slightly plus money.
I will take the Penguins money line. I know the Senators have been a wagon of late, but losing Thomas Chabot is going to hurt just because of how many, like, the minutes that he eats, right? No Jake Sanderson either, if I'm not mistaken. So like, now we're running out of bodies on the back end here. And when you lose Chabot, who, like, he just eats minutes, right? He just eats it. And no Sanderson, I don't know, man. I don't want to give Sidney Crosby and the gang an opportunity. That's a full pairing on the back end that's gone. And now you have young guys trying to come in, like Arden Zub is there. Like, he's the guy who's got to, like, I mean,
they're leaning on Tyler Clevin way too much, but they have no choice. They have to.
I know that. This is, look, poor timing. And again, for all the reasons we talked about, the Senators have been good defensively. They've been one of the better teams defensively. They're good at suppressing shots, but even by doing that, they still give up goals. So I'm not putting my faith in Linus Ullmark. I had him in fantasy this year. That team did not make the playoffs. So I'm not putting my faith in him tonight. I will put my faith in Sidney Crosby and the gang. They're relatively healthy. Everybody's there. They still have something to play for as well. So I'm going to take a little bit of the odd, a little bit of money there. I'm going to take the Penguins money line. Just, there's good value, so I'll run with it.
All right, so I got the over 6.5, which that depleted blue line certainly helps that argument for Pittsburgh, at least, to carry their side of the bargain. And then Chris is on the money line plus 125. Get the Penguins at most books. Next up, we got the Seattle Kraken at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Seattle winless in 8 of their last 10, 2-7-1. Tampa Bay's got a 5-game point streak going, in which they're 4-0-1. Tampa's 8-0-1 all time against the Kraken, so yet to lose in regulation to Seattle since they started. Nikita Kucherov has a 5-game point streak. It almost sounds kind of low for a guy like for the season. Kucherov,
that's it.
It's like we're not in double digits. Darren Radish, 20 goals this season. That's quite a number. Victor Hedman also taking time away from the team for personal reasons, so hope he gets sorted out, whatever needs to get sorted out. Philip Grubauer versus Andrei Vasilevsky here. You're looking for a money line, heavy minus 290 favorites for the Lightning at home versus plus 235 for the Kraken. The total on this one is at 6 or 6.5, depending upon where you look. I would lean under 6.5 minus 125 here, partially because of the opposite rule. Tampa beat them 6-2 in Seattle last week. Tampa's also 500 the totals at home, so maybe a chance there. I don't see Seattle scoring a whole lot. Maybe Vasilevsky just shuts the door, and Tampa just kind of gets one of those like 4-0 kind of victories, 4-1, but not an official play here.
Good enough for me. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Lightning puck line. That's all I need. I mean, Kucherov's going to have like 4 points tonight because, 3 is just no longer fun for him anymore. So this one should be an absolute beating of the Seattle Kraken. They may want to. Is a Kraken an animal? Because I was going to say maybe that you have to call PETA, but I don't think a Kraken is an animal.
I mean, it's in the sea. I don't know if PETA. I don't know how they would handle sea animals. Like how they.
I don't know. I know all that to say they're going to take a beating. That's what it is. It's going to be abuse, and I'm fully on the Tampa Bay Lightning abusing of the Seattle Kraken tonight, respectfully, but on the scoreboard. By a lot. So just, that's where I'm locked in here. I don't know where Seattle's scoring. They've been pretty bad on the road trip so far. So I'm not expecting them to get any better tonight against Tampa Bay. Again, they have something to play for. They have something to do. They have to win. They have to keep pace with the red hot Buffalo Sabres. So, it's possible.
That's 100% edible there for the. Listen, here's the thing. Like, if it's a mythical sea beast, the Kraken, I'm not messing. Like, it doesn't need PETA to protect it. If it needs PETA to protect it, then it's no longer a mythical sea beast. It's like you have to have some like real.
You got to have like there has to be a line, right? If they're a mythical creature, then they're not an animal, right? Like, but
I don't know.
Like, I keep thinking of the Seattle, of the Kraken Spice Rum. And I'm like, it looked like, I feel like, first of all, shame they don't have a partnership, or at least I don't think they do. And B, like, it looks like an octopus. But is a Kraken an octopus?
Like, I thought it's like more of an aggressive octopus. That's the only way I've always looked at it. But we can get into that. We still got plenty of games to get to here. We got Wild at Panthers next. Minnesota 6-2 since the Olympic break. Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy both have 38 goals. So they could become the first 40-goal duo in Minnesota Wild history here in the coming weeks before the end of the season. It's going to be Jesper Wallstedt versus Daniel Tarasov. Looking on the money line here for this one. Minnesota minus 160 road favorites. Florida plus 130 home dogs. Total in this one 6.5 in most places, 6 in some spots there. Feeling frisky and want to get a Minnesota Wild puck line on the road minus puck and a half. It's about plus 160 to 160. Some places 145. It bounces around, but in that range. For me, I'm going to stay away from this one. Minnesota should win this game. Florida seems to be enjoying their spoiler role as of late. When they play teams that have something to play for, they show up. So I'm not touching this one.
Here's the problem. I want to trust the Minnesota Wild, but it sounds like Sam Reinhart is getting closer to returning. I don't know if he will play. Tarasov is actually an upgrade because Bobrovsky is not. Right. I don't want to swallow the money line, but I also think like it's still reasonable at 1.6. I think the gap here is a lot wider than it should be. But I think I'm gonna go down the same path as you. I think I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and enjoy watching it. I was gonna say during the break, but unfortunately Gary didn't want to stagger that game, so we won't.
That is the ESPN game here in the States. I'm sure they anticipated that to be a much more important matchup, or maybe a potential Stanley Cup preview. Will not be the case in 2026, that's for sure. Next on the docket, we got the Stars at the Islanders. Dallas 1-3-1 since their 15-game point streak. Jason Robertson's 1 goal away from his third 40-goal season. Islanders have lost 3 of 4. Matthew Schaefer 1 goal away from tying Brian Leetch for most goals by a rookie defenseman this season. Currently sits at 22. It's going to be Jake Ottinger versus Ilya Sorokin. Here's where I'm going with the Stars money line minus 125. Dallas is the third best road team in the league at 21-7-7. been bumpy for them, but sometimes when you have a bumpy stretch, getting out on the road gets you right. You're not at home. You're not dealing with, getting your taxes submitted and this, that, and the other thing where it's just you go to the hotel, you're with your roommate or whoever. And so I think with you factor that with the fact that the Islanders have been slumping lately, outside of the Blue Jackets, the Islanders haven't beaten a potentially playoff-bound team since the Canadians on February 26th. So Islanders have been lagging lately. I know Andre hasn't had the best of seasons, but I'm taking the Stars on the road here at minus 125 on the money line.
I'm going to take the Stars on the money line as well. I would also play the over in this. The Islanders have been getting pushed around a little bit here. For all that we've talked about the goaltending, the over is like their game against Columbus where they pick up a win there. Like, yeah, it's good. But again, it's Sorokin standing on his head, right? And when he doesn't stand on his head, it seems like everything falls apart. Dallas can pound the back of the net, right? They also have a really, really good power play. Like Dallas is out here scoring 3.37 goals a game on under 26 shots. So when they shoot, it ends up in the back of the net. The volume's not there yet. The Islanders did go out. Yes, they got Shen, but Shafe Daddy's back there. He's trying to score a goal. I just think there's more than enough here for the over to hit. And again, I mentioned it. Patrick Waugh, if he's losing, that goalie's out. Like 6 minutes left. Like Sorokin's sitting on the bench. He could have had a hot dog here in Montreal. Because what else is there to do if you're getting pulled so early? So this has all the makings of a possible over. It may take an empty net goal to get there. But that also plays right into Dallas on its money line. Again, the Stars, one of the better teams on the road, and you're giving me at what, minus 125? Like, okay, I guess I'll take it. Thanks.
This does have the feeling of like, okay, the total's at 5.5. Look at the goalie matchup. Of course, this is going to be an under, but like sometimes those go the other way, and this has that feel of it almost because like under 5.5 is even money at most books. It's like they're tempting you to like lean into that logic of like, oh yeah, Andre Sorokin, yeah, that'll be like a 2. At most, a 3-2 final. No. That one's going to, I think, I agree. I would lean over on the total there. It's minus 120. Still get some bang for your buck there. Maybe you parlay the Stars money line in the over. And, that's one way to approach that. Now, the next game, Blackhawks Flyers. When I thought Dan Vladar was going to start, I had a pick. It's going to be under 5.5. But it's Samuel Ersson. So,
of course it is.
So, to me, with the total being 5.5, I don't have the confidence to go over because of that goaltending matchup. Because Spencer Knight's been better since the Olympics. I know he was a little bumpy going into it there. 271 goals against, 913 save percentage, 2-3-3 record. That's not necessarily his fault. It's the Blackhawks. But if Ersson's in net, I think I'm staying away from this one now. Maybe the Flyers still win. You want to take the Flyers on the money line. They have been playing better hockey as of late, but it's probably too juiced at this point. If you want to look at them at regulation, you'd certainly do that. Plus 115. But again, maybe the Blackhawks get a win here. They've started to look a little bit better lately. So this has now become a stay away spot for me when it was once an underplay.
Why does Rick Tocchet hate his team so much? Like, I just don't get it. This is a home game
coming up this weekend, so you get a chance to play.
This is a whole game too for the Flyers. Why are we not giving Dan Vladar the start? God, I will take the Blackhawks. I'm going to take the Blackhawks money line, even if they don't win. It's better value. I trust Spencer Knight more than I trust Samuel Ersson, and both those offenses are just like whatever. Like they're just there. It's probably going to be a low scoring game. But I also, like you, I can't get behind the under when Samuel Ersson, like what's his save? He's got an 864 save percentage on the year. Like that's criminal. That he's getting
paid. Don't trust either offense to be like, then you should be like, oh, over 5.5 should be easy, but you don't really trust either offense enough.
Not at all. So, again, I don't know if the Blackhawks would have, but if you're giving me a plus money and Samuel Ersson's on the other side, I'll take it.
See, this is what I don't get. Like, okay, so you have a back-to-back this weekend. You're at Detroit on Saturday and you're home for Dallas on Sunday. You're directly competing with the Red Wings. So clearly Vladar is going to play that game. Why would you rest him tonight, have quote unquote 2 give me points at home, and you play them on Sunday against Dallas. Not to say you're going to throw, but like at this point in the season, like kind of have to look at what you're trying to do, and you're trying to make up lost ground against teams like that are 4 points in front of you. You need to get. I would do Vladar today, Detroit, and then you play Ersson on Sunday against Dallas, understanding that that was going to be a tough 2 points to get anyway, even with your top guy. I'd rather quote unquote sacrifice the game there. And then next week, and then you have another back-to-back Thursday, Friday. Maybe the plan is they're trying to rest them because they know they're going to play them back-to-back Detroit, Dallas, and then at Washington Tuesday, and then again on a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. Maybe that's the plan here. But again, I would want my best guy get those 2 points at home, and then you start playing those games as the week goes on.
At home too. What are we doing, Ricky? Just like he's like, why would you? First of all, why would Ersson play? Like, just get a guy off the street, get somebody coming out of the college or university, and be like, hey man, want to play tonight?
I mean, I don't get it. So there we go. That takes us out of the 7 o'clock Eastern window, though. Now we're in the 8 o'clock Eastern window, and now it's Sharks. Before we get to the game, Marek said something before. Imagine seeing Celebrini in the playoffs. I was imagining it. But it's not going to happen now. And what I'm kind of bummed about is I had to buy 2 extra games to get early playoff ticket access that I don't want to say stuck with, but it's like with the gas prices being the way they are. Am I really driving down to San Jose on Monday night to watch them play the Blues? I don't know. I'm still going to go to the Canucks game, the home finale, because like the home finale is like always like it's like a farewell of the season, whatever. And then the other game I have tickets for is when they play the Blackhawks. Like, all right, fine, Bedard versus Celebrini, that could turn into something fun. But I digress here. The Sharks, we some of us fell for them that they were playing well, and we overlooked, even though we all knew that they had defensive issues. I mean, they got rid of Tim Liljegren, and John Klingberg's not it. He's fine as a power play quarterback, and he gets exposed as a top pairing defenseman. Orlov has been fine, but he's really playing above a pair. They really just have no strong options on the blue line, and that got exposed. And teams figured out, if we just really key in on Macklin Celebrini and stop him, they've got nothing else that can really hurt us. And that road came to an end finally for him. So here we are playing a St. Louis Blues team who Joel Hofer has been fantastic as of late. He's been 6-0-2 with a 1.34 goals against and a 955 save percentage since the Olympics. St. Louis is playing good defense here. Maybe the Sharks get a little bit of a boost from Yaroslav Askarov is back in the lineup and playing tonight. But I'm staying away here. I'd consider the over 6 if St. Louis wasn't so stingy lately, but the Sharks have just been a complete it's not like they slowly wasn't like an old man into a bath kind of thing. Like they just kind of went off the cliff. Like their last decent game was against the Islanders on a Saturday night. After that, it's pretty awful.
Listen, San Jose has been pretty bad. There's a lot of crooked numbers not on their side of the score sheet. I'm going to take St. Louis. I'm going to take them straight up on the money line. I think that line is too close. I know Robert Thomas isn't playing, but the rest of the gang is still there, and that's okay. They had a good outing against Washington. They went into Vancouver and beat the Canucks. It's hard to kind of track them and see what they're going to do. But again, Holfer's just been he's been him. He's been the guy who needs to do it. Like you said, he's got a 939 save percentage in his last 5 starts. He's allowed a total of just 7 goals. 2 of those are shutouts. So if anything, he's going to give his team a chance to win. And I just don't think the Sharks have the depth. And with the way they're giving up goals, Askarov's coming back and he hasn't played in 2 weeks, and he wasn't very good when he was playing, right? It's been a challenging time for him this year. So I feel like this line should be a little bit wider, and it's not. It's not like the Sharks are fantastic on the road either. It's not where they excel. So give me St. Louis. I'm excited to eat my words once they just absolutely just poop on the floor.
What bothers me about the Sharks is they didn't have the best close to their homestand. I was at that Flyer game last Saturday, and what killed me is they love that cross ice pass, but Philly was jumping at 85% of the time. Owen Tippett I think got 3 or 4 of them himself that he just was sitting on and waiting. And it's like, I see that you're doing this. They clearly like, can you change? Like they were getting too cute. And yeah, then they go to Nashville and it's like, all right, your season's really on the line tonight, guys. And I know Nashville's been playing great, but this is a 4-point swing game. You got to at least get a point out of this. And they just didn't even show up. The first period, Nashville showed like, okay, we want to go to the playoffs. San Jose, and listen,
it was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
But you know what? At the end of the day with the Sharks, and then we'll get on to the next games, this is what we said would be a good season for San Jose. Be in the playoff mix well into March, which they were, we'll say into March they were this year. And now they're fading. And that's, to me, that's a good step in the right direction. Show that you could go on runs and play good hockey. Now we'll see what Mike Grier does in the offseason to make sure that they are a playoff team next year, because clearly the Pacific Division is wide open. Could be had by anybody based on the current point totals. So got to keep that in mind. We'll talk more about that in the offseason. Devils at Predators, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. We've got a Jacob Markstrom versus Justice Noonan matchup here. Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt have 6-game point streaks. Nashville's on a 5-game winning streak and only 3 points behind Utah for that top wild card spot in the West. Stamkos has got a 3-game goal streak. Philip Forsberg, 5-game point streak here. Total on this one is 6 or 6.5, depending upon where you look. Predators are, well, it depends what book you're looking at. Most places, the Predators are favorite. Some the Devils, some they got a -111 at Fanatics. So, right down the middle here. For me, I'm going to take the over 6.5. Markstrom has allowed 3 or more goals in 6 straight appearances, .863 save percentage in that run. And Noonan's been a reliable backup option lately, but Nashville hasn't had any trouble finding that either, averaging 4 goals per game during their 5-game winning streak. Even when you factor in that Devils 2-1 loss to the Capitals on March 20th, they're averaging 4.5 goals per game in their last 6 outings. So I just think we're going to see a lot of up and down hockey tonight and a lot of scoring and not a lot of defense.
I just don't care about that game in any way, shape, and form. I'm just not on my radar to care. I don't think the Preds are. It's so hard to trust the Devils night in and night out. When they play, you just don't know what you're getting. So, and I would have felt better if it was Saros, but it's a Noonan, so don't care.
There we go. I think we're going to see goals tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of up and down hockey at Music City. Continuing in the 8 o'clock Eastern window, and the last of the 3 in the 8 o'clock Eastern, we've got the Colorado Avalanche at the Winnipeg Jets. Marty Necas has a 3-game multi-point streak, 26 points in the NHL, is second most since the return from the Olympics. Cale Makar's next point is going to give him 500 for his career. Winnipeg has taken 7 of their last 9 from Colorado. We've got a Mackenzie Blackwood versus Connor Hellebuck matchup here. Total is at 6 in some spots, but 6.5 in most. On the money line here, Colorado -185 road favorites, Winnipeg +155 road dogs. I'm going to take the under 6.5, -135. Avalanche are the 4th best under team in the league, top under team on the road. 2 meetings this season already went under. Blackwood seems to have bounced back in his last 2 games. I know he's pretty pitiful for that. Hellebuck hasn't been as good lately, but he's got a 17-8-4 record with 265 goals against and a .919 save percentage against the Avalanche in his career. So I think we see a low-scoring game tonight. I don't know. I don't know if Winnipeg continues their winning ways, 7 of the last 9, but I think we got a low-scoring game tonight.
I'll follow that. I don't think, I know it's tough sometimes for Connor Hellebuck, but it's mostly the team in front of him, right? I don't think his .898 save percentage is fair to him. His team is just not very good. And I think Blackwood is good. I think it's okay. Again, Colorado, the team I trust more, like their defensive structure. I think they're going to go out there, skate the puck. I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to try to slow them down, make sure they're not giving the big boys too much space, right? You don't want, Nathan McKinnon just skating up and down the ice, because that's not going to end well. So I think it's probably going to be close. If anything, something ruins this. It's an empty net goal or something like that. But I'll tell you right there on the under. That seems fair.
It's 6.5 too, not 5.5. Sometimes, Avalanche Jets, you think of 5.5 and you're like, all right, well, maybe that could go over. 6.5, I'll take that.
6.5 is too much. It's too much. You're telling me both these teams got to combine for 7?
Gotta.
No.
Now we get into the 9 o'clock Eastern, which have been more of these games with Utah coming in the league, which is nice. I have a bit more of that slightly later, but still early on the West Coast kind of a thing going there. We got the Utah Mammoth versus the Washington Capitals. Utah 2-5-1 in their last 8 home games, so they don't necessarily. We got Logan Thompson versus Vitek Vanacek here on the money line. We've got the Capitals are plus 125 road dogs, Mammoth minus 150 favorites. Total in this one, if you're looking for it, is 6.5 in some spots, 6 in others. Both teams are too unpredictable right now, so I'm staying away from this one entirely. I can make arguments for a lot of different things here, so I got no real lean. I'm not touching it.
There's some places that have it still at 6.
Looking at, let's see here, Bet 365 and
because I was looking
at
everywhere.
MGM and Caesars too. I'll refresh, but
wow, because a lot of places I thought would have been 5. I mean, the Capitals struggle to score goals, religiously. They have been involved in some really low scoring games.
It's gone down to 5.5 at DraftKings. Actually, it just went down.
I will take the under 6. I think that's fair because you're trying to ask the Capitals to be part of a 7-goal total thing. Like that just seems like it's too much there. The Mammoth are not necessarily like they're not a bad team. It's just their power play is not very good. The Capitals have had no power play, and it's these aren't teams that take a ton of shots. They don't score a ton of goals. I think this will be a good battle back and forth, but I don't see it being not with Vanacek in that. I see that being closer. Logan Thompson has been really, really good all year. So I'm going to go with the under here. I think that's under 6 was good. 5.5, I was like, the empty net goal kind of ruins it. But if I get a chance with the push, I'll take it.
Under 6 is minus 110 at multiple books. If you want that extra cushion, it's minus 147 for 6.5. If you want to go over 5.5, the best number you're going to find is minus 135 at DraftKings.
No,
the fact that one's all over the place just confirms that that's like I'm not touching that from a totals perspective. And Utah was playing better at home. Washington, not a great team on the road either, but I don't know. Washington shows up some nights.
Some nights.
Next on the docket, we've got 3 more to go. The last one in the 9 o'clock Eastern window. Ducks at Flames. We got Ville Husso versus Devin Cooley, so a battle of the backups. Anaheim's on a 5-game point streak, 4-0-1. They could. This is their first 40-win season since their last playoff appearance in 2018. Looking on the money line here, Ducks are minus 145 road favorites. Calgary plus 180 dogs. Your total in this one is 6.5, pretty much everywhere. So for me in this one, I'm going to take the Ducks in regulation plus 115. The Ducks have taken both of their prior meetings against Calgary, and I recognize that one was an overtime and one was a shootout. Ducks can be streaky at times, but they seem to be in the middle of a good one. They're 3 wins in a row, 4 of their last 5. Yeah, I know the Flames are on a 4-game winning streak themselves, but potential, and I don't worry about trap game potential here for Anaheim with Edmonton on Saturday. Divisional clash. That's not going to happen in a Joel Quenneville locker room here. And here's the other thing, too. If you're Anaheim and you're really trying to lock up that division and make sure you get 2 teams who get the consolation prize of the wild card out west, you got to get these gimme points against teams like Calgary to make sure that, an Edmonton or Vegas can't catch you. I like Ducks to take care of business in regulation. So even if it's a close game, they can still pull it out.
6.5 is way too high. So I'm going to take the under. I mean, Cooley has been very, very good this year, regardless of whether he's at home or on the road. I know for Dustin Wolf, when he's at home, he's rock solid. Then he goes on the road and he falls apart. But I would have felt better if it was Lucas Dostal in net, but Ville Husso's there. I mean, they have the same save percentage, but that doesn't mean much. The Ducks are just not as dominant on the road. They're just not as good. So I'm okay. I think this will be a tighter game. We're not going to see a shootout. And if it does, well, it's coming from the Ducks only because, Calgary they're scoring 2.48. They may not score 2 goals tonight. So I think this is a low scoring affair. I don't trust the Ducks to just come out and do whatever they want. This is still a team that has to work on playing well in their own zone, defending. This is a good spot where they're not going to get challenged a ton. Calgary does take a decent amount of shots, but they don't find the back of the net. So The penalty kill is also pretty good. It's like 6.5, just, I don't know, way too high. So I'm going to take the under there.
All right, so I got the Ducks in regulation. Chris taking the under on that one. 2 games to go. Now the 9:30, the only staggered while puck drop tonight Eastern. We've got the Edmonton Oilers at the Vegas Golden Knights here. Goaltending is going to be Connor Ingram versus Aiden Hill. Edmonton's on a 4-game winning streak versus the Golden Knights. Connor McDavid currently sits at 799 career assists. So McDavid's going to hit all these plateaus and these milestones as an Oiler, and he's going to go get his cup somewhere else, and it's going to be hilarious. Vegas has lost 10 of their last 14 games. So these two teams, they meet tonight, and then they meet again on April 4th. So 2 key games here for Pacific positioning here. I got the over 6.5 minus 110. Edmonton's the top over team in the league. Vegas has allowed 4 goals in 3 of their last 4. Edmonton has gone over this total in 3 of their last 4. Connor Ingram has allowed 2 or less goals in only 2 of his last 8 outings. Vegas scores 3.37 goals per game at home and also allows 3 goals per game at home. So I think we're going to see some offense here tonight with both teams.
I can't believe that Vegas is giving us the Oilers at plus money. Listen, I know I say this a lot, but I'm like, maybe there's something I'm missing. And maybe I am. But the Vegas has lost 4 of their last 5. In those 4 losses, they have scored 2 goals. In 4 of those losses, 2. If you want to feel any better for them, be like, yeah, but they won 1. Okay, they scored 3. So they have 5 goals in 5 games. They are a mess. I can't believe they're giving Aiden Hill another start. He played? Well, what was?
Akira Schmid is your other option.
I know that's not great, but was it the game against Nashville where he just no? Yes, maybe. I think it was the game against Nashville. There was one game where he gave up 3 goals, and that was the end of his night. He made 0 saves, 0, nada. I get Akira Schmid is not good. I understand that. Aiden Hill is an .868 save percentage. Like, he's got a Stanley Cup ring on his finger, and it's all falling apart here. Vegas is falling apart, but the good news is they play in the Pacific, so they're going to get a playoff spot, and they are the worst. They are just so bad right now. I know their penalty kill is good, and the power play is clicking and everything, but do not give the Edmonton Oilers opportunities to score goals. I know Leon Draisaitl's not there. Doesn't matter because Connor McDavid is there. And that's the only guy I care about. So I am taking Edmonton's money line, the mortgage on the money line there, because if you're going to give me Edmonton at plus money against Aiden Hill and, a team that can't score, I'll take it. I'll take it every day. Any day that ends in Y, I'm taking it.
Vegas minus 135 home favorites there, plus 115 at most spots for Edmonton. And like we said, they play twice over the course of the remainder of the season. The only thing that saves the Golden Knights here is they got 2 games against the Canucks, one against the Flames, 2 against the Kraken, 1 against the Jets. So, they've got opportunities to get easier points where, I would lean Edmonton money line there, but I like the overplay better. You look at Edmonton's schedule down the stretch there. They've got the Blackhawks, the Kraken, the Sharks. So they've got in Vancouver. So they got a few gimmies in there too. But I think Edmonton is more or less looking at that second spot. That's where they end up in the Pacific. Anaheim takes care of business. They do have a chance to make up a couple of points against Anaheim on Saturday. That's an afternoon puck drop. Edmonton. That is a 1:30 puck drop, I think, time at Edmonton. Last game of the night, the only 10 o'clock one. Kings at Canucks. We've got LA on a 4-game winless streak. 3 of their final 11 games come against the Canucks. They're 0-3-1 in that run. Kevin Lankinen going to go for the Canucks. Don't have a confirmed goal yet for Darcy Kemper. Looking on the money line here, the Kings minus 170 favorites, plus 145 Canucks home dogs. Total on this one is going to be 5.5 in some spots, 6 in some spots, 6.5 in others. So this is another one with totals all over the place. Make sure you shop around. I got the Kings to win in regulation at even money. Listen, the Canucks are the worst home team in the NHL, so fading them there is always something you got to look at. They're about to wrap up a 7-game homestand, which they've gone 2-4 on. Kevin Lankinen has 1 win since January 21st. Even if the Kings go with Forsberg here tonight, I think they break through and get 2 points. First time on this 3-game road trip where they've lost in overtime and a shootout by Utah and Calgary, respectively. I know this is a little bit more of a. The Canucks could pull it off. But again, if you're the Kings and you want to get to the playoffs, these are gimme points you got to have. You need to beat up on teams like Vancouver.
I want to trust the Kings, and then I remember how terrible they are. Like they're better on the
Better on the
road.
road.
I know. And listen, the Canucks are they're miserable at home. They have 8 wins on home ice all year. But boy, did the Kings just love losing in overtime. They thrive on it. They get to overtime and then just pack it in, and they leave with only 1 point. They get that
We got
far.
a point, boys.
Yeah, we got a point, boys. Let's just go home.
Beat the traffic.
God, I want to believe that they're going to win. The problem is if I take them in regulation, I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to lose in overtime. So I'm going to take them in regulation, and then I'm just not going to spend the money that I place on that bet because it's not going to be worth it. But
the one thing that, sometimes teams like to close a road trip on a big note because they come home, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7-game homestand, which I know they don't play well at LA. They come home for 7 and then finish up on 3. So this is one of their last road trips of the year. You're going home. So I don't worry about them looking ahead to Utah. They just played them the other night. So it's not like what you're getting out of them. So I think the Kings can take it in regulation. I wouldn't be bold enough to go on the puck line here, which is minus a puck and a half, plus 155 for the Kings. You think the Canucks can cover? It's like minus 175 at some point. Not really worth it there. But yeah, I think the Kings, if it starts tonight, your playoff push starts tonight.
It started 70 games ago, but yeah, start tonight. Hey, let's go, Kings. I know you played all those games to start. They didn't matter. Now just, close out the 12 that you have left. Try.
That's the thing. Like, here you are, as mediocre as you've been, you still control your own fate. Got games
what did Connor McDavid call that division? Like a pillow fight? And I was like, yeah.
It's a pillow fight. That's an accurate way to describe it.
That's exactly it. That whole division is so bad. What is it? Like, if Boston was in the Pacific, they'd be first. They'd get a bye. Like, they would get the East. They would finish first in their division. There is a team in the East that is not going to make the playoffs that would have been first in the Pacific. That's how bad that division is this year.
For as much as we talk about the Islanders slumping, they would be first place in the Pacific Division by a point right now.
Damn.
Detroit would be tied with Anaheim for the division lead right now. I mean,
we're just asking you, Kings, to just try, just pretend. You know what? Start tonight. Take care of business in regulation, preferably, please.
Ottawa would have the lead in that division right now. Here's what I think, and this is a little too crazy and people to travel. You open up the wild card spots to just be across the league. If you're going to keep the stupid division format, then just make it the 4 best wild cards.
But then it wouldn't work for travel because some teams would complain. But I would say, you make it.
I don't care about travel. You have chartered flights. Like, I get it. It sucks when you do it 82 games a year. And yes, have it like on the off chance the Kings have to play the Bruins in the first. Like, I understand it's a possibility. Come on now, let's stop.
I like how you're thinking outside the box, though.
That's how
you know what? Just get rid of divisions and
that's
do 1 to 16. That's it. Just do 1 to 16, or keep them just so you can play. Like, you know what I mean? The other teams, but they mean nothing.
So, all right. So you'd say those guaranteed 3 teams would get in. Okay. So who would be the wild card teams in that scenario would come. Let me see here. I'm trying to figure out exactly who get in that scenario. So you have Boston and Ottawa, 88, 85. And then, it would be the Islanders and the Red Wings would be your next 2. So they would get in. The Flyers would be a much more realistic threat to get in as well. There you go.
You know what? Just regulate the Pacific Division. Spread them out evenly amongst the other 3 divisions. That's it.
You would have a Detroit-Colorado first-round matchup right now in that scenario. Come on.
And listen. I'm old enough to remember when Detroit was considered a West Coast team. I know people in Detroit had to stay up late for many, many years, but those Colorado Detroit series, they were heavy and they were bloody.
Kings, Red Wings also, I remember a couple of those series being really good game series. You lose the Red Wings Blues rivalry by having the Detroit Red Wings are never going back to the Western Conference. No. Nonetheless, I'm just saying, if you're not going to go back to a traditional 1 through 8, then just make the 4 wild card spots, and so be it. Colorado has to go to Detroit in the first round. Okay, fine. Is that really that much farther away than them having to fly to Vancouver or Edmonton? It's really not. You know what?
Even with the travel, wouldn't you want to make the playoffs though? Like you would get 2 games at home, you know what I mean? Versus not getting one at all. Like the NHL has to find a way to reward teams for like winning, right? Like if you have more points, this isn't like, or sometimes it's that way for people, let's say that play fantasy, right? Especially fantasy baseball. Instead of playing head to head, they play roto because you want to reward the teams that do better, right? If you win more categories or you do better in them, you should be rewarded. And I feel like that's what we should be getting here. There's teams that go out there and win, and through no fault of their own, they're not going to make the playoffs. And, they're going to be sitting at home when, they have 10 points more than the team that finished first on the other side of the division. So,
Like, yeah, it would suck. Anaheim, Boston would be a first round matchup. That's a pretty long distance flight there. But I don't think there are worse places to go for a playoff road trip than Orange County if you're a Bruin. I don't think they would necessarily mind a little visit to Southern California in April when maybe they still have the last thralls of winter hanging around. That does happen in the Northeast. You'd have what? Ottawa would play Carolina or Buffalo. They would play Buffalo, and then Ottawa would play Carolina. Islanders would play Buffalo. So you'd
there are ways to do this. It's just Gary hates fun. He doesn't like fun. He doesn't like fair.
Or make it the last 2 wild card spots are like open for grabs. That could be a crossover. But then it's like, oh, it screws top seed who might have to travel. Like, I get it. But it's just they got to do something with this playoff format. If you're gonna just go back to 1-8, make it nice and easy.
Easy like that. 1-8, enough with these divisional stuff. It was to create rivalries, and to be honest, it doesn't matter. Listen, we were watching a game between, Buffalo and Tampa Bay wanting to kill each other, and, nowhere near each other. And you can learn to hate other teams. Trust me. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in your division.
Yeah, you can learn to hate other teams. Don't worry.
I mean, all right, so a true playoff in the East would be Ottawa, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Columbus, Tampa, Boston, Montreal. Out west,
who doesn't want that?
Out west, let's see. So who's the 8th, 6th, 7th? You'd have Nashville, Colorado, Vegas, Anaheim, because Anaheim would get that 2nd seed. Edmonton, Dallas, Utah, Minnesota.
Then we could see some teams in the Central not have to get bounced in the first round. They'd possibly make it to the second round. What a joyous time that would be for somebody in the Central to possibly not get eliminated in the first round. As Gary said, makes for an absolutely wonderful first round. But that's not what we want.
It would be Nashville versus Colorado, Anaheim, Vegas, Edmonton, Dallas, Utah, Minnesota.
Yeah, so Dallas, technically Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota could advance to the second round, which is what every hockey fan would probably want anyways, except for Gary.
On that note, what do we got coming up in your next Slap Shot podcast?
Episode comes Saturday. Not a single clue. I'm hoping. Here's what I'm focusing on the most. I need to make sure I advance this week in fantasy hockey playoffs. That's what I got to worry about. So Saturday, I'm going to figure out how good of a mood I am in because I've drawn a really. I squeaked by Wally Guys last week. I just barely got, and then I was rewarded with Lance Goodthrust instead, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound fun because that team is good. So that's what I'm going to do. Something's going to pop up, and then we're going to have to go through it. If not, we're going to talk about why the Montreal Canadiens is absolutely so awesome.
Of the 5 leagues I'm in the playoffs in, one I have a bye, the FSGA league, which thank God, that league you need to buy more than anything.
You do.
2 leagues I should be safe to get to the second round. One is iffy, but should be safe. And one I'm not quite toast yet, but I need a big night to catch up in one of those. So we'll see how that goes. We do have Craig checking in here.
Speak of the devil.
I fear Montreal plays Tampa in the first round. He thought you're
I do think they play Tampa in the first round.
I think where it ends up.
I remember the last time they did, and I was very, very sad by the end of that series. Very sad. I didn't watch the replay of how that series finished for it's probably a few months.
You'd rather Buffalo, I assume. take your chances. As crazy it is to say that, but you take your chances with Buffalo, maybe.
You know what's easier though? I don't know anybody in the Tampa area that can let me sleep on their couch, right? And I'd have to take a flight, right? And I've heard that TSA is quite hard to get through. So I could drive to Buffalo, right? And with how affordable those tickets are, you know what I mean? It's a long drive to Buffalo. I get it, but I can do it.
It's doable.
It's doable. It's doable.
Oh, maybe you'll be trying to do the math on the next Slapshot.
Next Slapshot podcast will be my possible hypothetical itinerary to one of those cities and who wants to contribute to it financially.
You know, Chris will he'll do this. Maybe he'll bring up the old calculator here and start adding costs up.
Yeah, but then I gotta factor in for the Canadian dollar being worth nothing as well. So yeah, or maybe I just sell a kidney. I don't know. I don't need to.
Interesting. Well, there's something maybe to dive into. Maybe that'll be a topic for future weeks. His biggest threats to the top teams in each thing. He's saying put money on Ottawa to beat Carolina. So that would be interesting there. Of course, our friend at Rivera 86 over at the Subway to Shea podcast there. Mets season. I believe they had first pitch today. From all the pictures I saw,
they did. They beat the Pirates because Paul Skeens got lit up.
Oh, so just business as usual for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Business.
Yeah. Paul Parskeens. I mean, he's still got a pretty good girlfriend there.
I think it's fine. I think Livy can help him recover from his poor outing today.
I mean, that does make things probably a little bit better on you. And of course, we got our Rip and Riff of myself and at Mr. Jared Moore. Fresh episode up there. Fun episode this week. We did baseball and hockey this week. I'm sure we'll have more of that coming up this week. NFL draft. But draft Fuzzy Chris 91. I'm not talking about Adam Bernard. Thanks for running 13 games. Also a little playoff postulates. Fantasy help. Maybe it's help. We'll be back next Thursday, April 2nd. With another full slate or advice from fantasy world for our playoffs and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.